Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Well, good evening. Good evening, world. Welcome to the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Good evening. I am currently in my room, laying in bed, surrounded by, let's see here, we have a cat at the foot of the bed. We have a dog to my left, another dog to my left. One dog curled up behind my leg, another dog curled up behind my leg, kind of in front of her, but yet behind me, another one behind my back, another up around my shoulder, and then I have another cat that's trying to sleep up around my head. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that is 8 animals. 8. I am the crazy, not just cat lady, but the crazy dog lady. I'm just the crazy lady. We can just call me the crazy lady. It doesn't have to have an animal in front of that. It's just crazy lady. But I love it. Honestly, this is pretty great. I mean, who doesn't want to be surrounded by loyal, sweet animals, especially because it's forking colder than shit out there right now. It is 18 degrees. And I realize 18 degrees is a lot warmer than it is in some other areas of the world. Like in some areas, it's negative 30. In some areas, it is 7 degrees. So I totally get that 18 is warmer than some. But 18 is still cold. No matter how cold it is elsewhere, 18 is still cold, no matter what. I mean, you're not going to wear shorts and a tank top, right? Even if you're from like Antarctica, I still don't think they're not going to think 18 is like, whoo, balmy. I think I'll whip out the sunscreen. So, I mean, I'm surrounded by animals that keep you warm and toasty when it's cold outside. But I always think of the animals that are outside, and I always feel so bad. And I realize that science and Mother Nature or God or whatever it is that you believe, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but that they are designed to have the ability to live through and keep themselves warm through winters, like the animals that live outside, like the raccoons and the birds and the squirrels and the possums and all of that, that they have the ability to live through the winter because Mother Nature or God, or like I said, whatever it is you believe in, designed them to do so. But God, I see those documentaries on penguins in Antarctica, and I'm like, my God, like they're supposedly designed to be able to withstand, below zero temperatures, yet look what they have to do just to be able to barely survive. It's like they have to huddle together and have the thickest skin, and they have to have all this stuff. And even after that, they have to take turns like circling on who gets to be on the inside where it's the warmest and who has to be on the outside where it's the coldest. And it's like, what a hard life to live. It's like, yeah, sure, they don't die, but they have to work really fucking hard just to survive, just to hang on. Like, what a crappy life to live. I feel so bad for them. I can't watch those documentaries. It just breaks my heart. And like, just animals in general that have to do so much just to barely hang on. Or like the opposite conditions. Like if you live in the Sahara Desert, or you live in, Death Valley or whatever, where it's, 130 degrees. It's like, then you've got these poor animals that it's the opposite. It's so effing hot that they have to adapt to that. And it's miserable for them. I just feel so bad. Like, I don't know if you guys can hear my dog in the background, but she's snoring. Her name's Nora, and I call her Snora. Get it? Snora, Nora. Yeah. Anyway. But anyway, and I just think of that though, like right now, I think of all the places that it's really cold. And my first thought is, oh my God, the poor animals. And then I think of the homeless people, whether they're homeless because they quote deserve it or not. I mean, a lot of homeless people have mental issues, and people with mental issues don't deserve to be homeless. And a lot of homeless are our vets, our veterans, and they definitely don't deserve to be homeless. And then there are homeless that are addicted to drugs, and so they have an addiction issue. And people with addiction issues, don't deserve to be homeless. But I understand that you could say, well, they put themselves in that position. And even if they put themselves in that position, it's because of a mental illness or an addiction, or because the government or society didn't take care of them, or PTSD and all these things. And that's somebody's, daughter, son, spouse, wife, friend, aunt, uncle, mom, whatever. And it breaks my heart because, in order to be in a shelter, you have to stay clean and sober. Well, if you're an addict, how do you stay clean and sober? So let's say you're freezing to death and you're like, all right, I'm going to try my best to stay clean and sober. Well, the pain that comes with getting off of an opiate, for example, trying to withdraw from opiates, that's miserable. That's absolutely fucking miserable. Same with if you're a massive alcoholic, withdrawing from alcohol. If you do it too fast, you can die, depending on how bad of an alcoholic you are. If you just all of a sudden go cold turkey, you could die. So it's like, okay, you pick dying out in the cold, or you pick going through horrible withdrawals that make you feel god awful, or the risk of possibly for real dying because, like I said, with alcohol, quitting cold turkey, depending on how bad of an alcoholic you are, you could die. It's just so sad. It absolutely breaks my heart. And I like to bring clothes and set it out at the places that I know, and the places that I know are where I can't talk. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I think it's a good idea if people instead of bringing clothes to like Goodwill or, thrift stores and stuff, maybe if you have extra clothes or extra tarps or blankets or socks or hats or gloves, you bring them to places that where homeless people might get together. However, that said, there may be areas where it's not safe to do that. Sometimes that's not safe. So maybe it's best to go to a location that you can drop off stuff. But then there's areas that there are so many homeless people, then that's just really difficult. Speaking of that reminds me of our border crisis. Now there are so many illegal aliens that some of them really do want nothing more than to live the American dream and to be tax paying. They do want to pay. I mean, I'm not saying they want to pay taxes, but they want to eventually be legal, and they want to get an actual job and pay taxes and contribute. Not every single person crossing the border is necessarily terrible. However, that said, there are a lot that are. There are many that are terrible and should not be coming in. And, you should be doing it legally. If you are someone that wants to be part of the American dream, you need to be doing that legally. Even if your intentions are good, if you're coming across the border illegally, that doesn't matter what your intentions are really. You're doing it illegally, and that's not cool to those that are doing it the right way. It's kind of spitting on the people doing it the right way. But now, homeless shelters and blankets and all that are all being, given to people crossing the border. And that pisses me off because it's their choice. That's a choice. That's not an addiction issue. That's not a depression issue. That's not a veteran of our country. That these are people choosing to come across the border. And those people don't deserve to have blankets and shelter and food and any of that. I'm sorry, but no. You're making a choice, and you're making one knowing that it's illegal. And that's not cool. Like I said, most of the people that are homeless are unfortunately veterans and people with addiction issues and people that have like bipolar or schizophrenia, which is like mental illness. So we need more counselors, like I've talked about numerous times. Actual counselors, not people that like took an online course for, a week, but actual counselors, licensed actual counselors and actual psychiatrists and actual psychologists. And we need, again, though, it's hard because if you don't catch these things from an early age, by the time, you get help, it's already escalated. So then that's hard. Like your addiction, for example, if you've now been addicted for a couple of years, that's hard to kind of, even if you get into help, that's hard. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's impossible because people do it all the time. People kick addiction after being an addict for years. Just saying that makes it a lot more difficult. And but we need mental health, access to mental health, and it needs to be diagnosed at a much earlier age. But freezing weather, that's what we were discussing. So I am here. I couldn't get into work today because of road conditions. And it's weird because I always think, okay, I've been exhausted. I haven't been sleeping at all. And I feel like I've been like starting to hallucinate for real. And I feel like I'm on a boat all the time. And I feel like my head is like a balloon and I just feel scatterbrained. And it's really starting to affect me a lot. I'm really noticing it. And so when I didn't go into work today, I thought, okay, cool. I can use this time to just like relax and get the much needed sleep that I need. But I'm so type A and I'm so crazy that I'm like, no, but I'm supposed to be at work. And since I'm supposed to be at work, then that means I shouldn't be lazy because I should be at work. And since I'm not, that means I need to be working around the house. I need to be productive. And so I started doing things. But then again, I felt like I was drunk because I was so tired and I was so dizzy that when I was doing stuff, I felt not right. I didn't feel well. So I was like, okay, I got to lay down. So I exercised the animals and I took care of the animals and stuff and I puttered around and then I'd lay down for a while and I would watch Project Runway, old episodes. I am on season 6, episode 3 right now. And the quality cracks me up. But so I'm watching Project Runway and playing some design games and some Sudoku and stuff like that. And then I'll get up and I'll putter around and I'll do stuff with the animals and then putter around some more and lay down, play some games. And it's just that whole cycle. But I always feel guilty laying down and I feel guilty taking time, even though my body is like, listen, you need to sit your ass down. We're trying to tell you in every way possible. Like you're literally losing your brains. You're losing your marbles. Because I am. I feel like I'm hallucinating. I feel like I'm hearing things. It's just weird. And so my body is like, we're doing everything we can to tell you to relax, to get some sleep. You need sleep or you're going to really go crazy. But I just feel guilty when I do. I feel like I shouldn't be. I feel like I'm wasting the day. I feel like, okay, this is a day I can be productive. Okay, this is a day I can do stuff that I normally can't. And I do that whole cycle. So that's frustrating, But here it is late at night. And I'm like, okay, all right. Obviously, now that it's late at night, now I've earned the right for sure to lay down. And once I finally allowed myself to like relax and just like lay down and get my pillows just right. And now that I'm surrounded by animals, I'm like, all right, okay, cool. This works. This can work. So if you hear snoring pooches, although I think they all kind of stopped. One was like licking themselves obsessively in the background. So if you hear some weird licking noises, my dog was licking his foot, not his private area, his foot. Oh my gosh, I tried to take them outside just briefly because it was really cold and I didn't want them to get too cold and stuff, but they also get wound up and they need to get some fresh air and, so they were out there for like 2-3 minutes. And I brought them inside, and then I was doing stuff with them inside for them mentally and physically inside. Although physically it's hard because I have hardwood floors and they slide around, and I don't want them to slide into things and hurt themselves. And so then we just walked up and down the stairs. I have stairs, so we did stairs, and we walked up and down the stairs, and then we did a lot of mental stuff, and then we like hid the ball. And anyway, and then we would go outside because it would get hot, so I would go outside and we'd throw the ball for like 2 minutes and then come inside and do mental stuff and then walk stairs again. We did a whole little like cycle, whole little course. Because again, I knew what type of dogs I was going to get. I knew what a healer entailed. And I knew, by the way, speaking of healer, you guys, guess what I did? I know I'm digressing. I'm totally digressing again, but guess what I did? So I kind of, sort of got, Puck's sister, biological sister, not litter mate, because they actually have the same mom, different dad. But she is a red healer, red healer. And she was born in November. Puck is a Merle. He's a healer and he's a Merle. And he is a year old. But at first I was super concerned if he was going to be really jealous and how he was going to be. But he is so patient with her. Oh my God, he is the best big brother in the world. He is incredibly patient with her, very just playful with her, shares things. We were working with food aggression. He has a lot of food aggression, so we've been really working with it. And I wasn't paying enough attention. And her name is Gwendolyn. We call her Gwenny, but her name is Gwendolyn. We call her Gwenny, or sometimes we call her Gwen Stefani. But Gwenny likes to, I was going to call her Rogue. Rogue was the other name, but she never really came to it. When I called her Gwenny and Gwendolyn, she came to it, so she named herself. But anyway, I wasn't really watching her that well, and she went over to Puck's food bowl and pretty much got into it, and I was so proud of Puck. He didn't do anything. So, of course, I praised the bejeebs out of Puck and was like, good, leave it, good, leave it, good, leave it. And but we're teaching her manners. We're teaching her that that's not okay. He shouldn't always have to just suck it up. Like, that's not okay either. She needs to learn not to be rude. She needs to learn boundaries, and she needs to learn not to climb all over everybody. And, they need to be allowed to set boundaries, and they just can't eat her face off, and they can't be aggressive, but they are allowed to like snap at her, as in, again, not bite her, but just be like, hey, so that she knows, what she's allowed and not allowed to do. But he has been the best big brother. They play together. It's so freaking cute. Oh my God, they play together so well. But once in a while he gets annoyed, and once in a while he gets jealous. Now, Mo, our dog that was the youngest until Puck and Gwen came along, Mo was the youngest. Mo has been totally out of sorts. His nose is out of joint. So we've had to do what you do when you have siblings, and when the oldest, keeps getting children, and you have to kind of take time for each of them. You have to give them each special attention and let them know remind them that they're loved, remind them that they have not been replaced, just like you do with kids, with siblings. I've been doing that with the dog. So I took Mo out and played with him separately all by himself and gave him praise. And I did that with Puck and Nora and all the dogs. I've given them their special time, and sometimes I'll take like 2 of them at once so that 2 of them get special time, and take them on an outing and stuff like that. So, I try to balance it out so that they all are reminded, and that they all remember that they're loved still. But she is so cute. She's so feisty. She's so freaking smart. She's just like her brother. She's incredibly smart. She learns quick. But having a puppy, of course, keeps you up. It's like having a newborn. It's really hard, but I chose to do it. And I knew what I was getting myself into, and I preach about that to people all the time. Before you get a puppy, before you get suckered in by how adorable puppies are, remind yourself of how much work they entail. They're like having a newborn, only you can't put a diaper on them. They don't contain their poop. They're going to poop all over the floor, pee all over the floor. So unlike a newborn, you can't contain the poop. So it's almost like puppies are harder. But also just remember the breed. Again, Remind yourself that working dogs, herding dogs, hunting dogs, there are different breeds of dogs that need different things. They have different lifestyles that they lead, and you have to prepare yourself for the amount of exercise, mental and physical, that's needed. And so I knew that. And like I've said millions of times, I love what a herding and a working dog needs. Um, Labs to me are the sweetest of all sweet dogs, and they are so loyal, and they just love their human, and they're so freaking loyal to the human. For that, I respect them greatly and I admire them greatly, but I would never have a lab. Their energy level to me is crack times 1,000. It's like crack mixed with cocaine, mixed with Adderall after a rave at a rave. It's just woo, yeah. I've said this before. They're like frat boys that don't mean any harm. They're just trying to have a really good time, and somehow they cause a tornado along the way. They don't mean to, but they're just having a super good time and living life and enjoying life and, hooping it up, but they somehow cause mass destruction along the way. That's a lab to me. But again, God bless them. They're sweet. But so I got a puppy. Her name is Gwendolyn, Gwenny for short. Puck is a great brother. Nora is at this point, she's like the oldest. So she's like, well, I've resigned to the fact it's fine, but I'm going to keep them in line. I'm going to remind them that I'm the top dog. There's a hierarchy around here, and she's the one that's the hall monitor. Bonnie is also just kind of like, well, that's fine. She's actually kind of liking it. She secretly kind of likes it because Gwen tries to play with her, and Gwen seems to look up to her, and Bonnie likes that she's looked up to. Bonnie's like, all right, finally, someone is acknowledging my coolness. Someone is acknowledging my presence and my coolness, and this is great. I like it. I like to be admired, and so she's digging it. But, yeah, so I'm sorry. Henry, however, is not liking it. He's the second oldest. He's 1 year down from Nora, and he is the second. You know what I just realized? That on my last episode, I was talking about how when people show pictures of like vacations they went on or pictures of their childhood, and they're like, this is me at Fort Lauderdale with my friends, and it was a great day. Or they're like, this is me and my best friend when we were in high school, or when they're driving around and they're like, oh my God, I used to live at those apartments and I used to live in that apartment. I just realized when I'd said, when people do that, people are like, yeah, we don't really care because that's not part of our memory. And it's hard for us to get on board with that and be into it when someone else is showing us pictures that are of memories we can't possibly have, and with people that we don't know. So it's like, okay, these are great memories for you, and I'm glad you're feeling nostalgic, and that's awesome. But when you show all this to other people, or you point out where you used to live and you give us a little tour of your old neighborhood, it's like, this is great, happy nostalgia for you, walking down memory lane. But I don't share those same memories, and I don't know the friends or the neighborhood. So I just realized I was doing that when I'm sitting here talking about my dogs, and like talking all about my dogs as if you guys give a fuck. You're probably like, that's nice. Like, we don't know your freaking dogs, Courtney, and why do we care? Like I was going to launch into, so this is Henry. He's a Gemini, and his likes are snuggles, sleeping under the blanket, like we're in a pageant or something, and I'm like going through each dog's like profile. My gosh. See, again, tired. This is what tired mush brain does. Tired mush brain makes you putter around the house aimlessly, like just walking around like one of those robotic round roaming, those, like, what are they called? The vacuum cleaners, what the frick? They're the round vacuum cleaner things that just like roam around, and they go underneath stuff, and they go underneath like your furniture. God, I forgot what they're called. But anyways, and then when they hit something, though, they just get stuck, or they just go around in circles, or they try to like get out. That's me. I feel like I just keep walking around until I hit a wall, and then I just like keep trying to go through the wall, and I just get stuck like a wind-up toy that just keeps getting stuck. And then finally, I somehow, because I've gotten stuck so much, I've managed to like knock myself sideways a lot to where I finally get unstuck until I hit another wall again. And then I go around walking, then I hit another wall. That's me. That's me lately in a nutshell. How are you guys? Is it cold where you are? Is it hot? What's going on? Here's another thought that I was thinking of. Like, I think I might have brought this up, but Putin, or like people with dogs, like Kim Jong-un, like if they have dogs and they're crazy, I mean, if they're people that are known to maybe be a little slightly hot-headed, for instance, and they own dogs, it's like those poor dogs. I mean, I'm sure they'll get the best of things as far as the best food and the most comfortable beds and stuff. But it's like, what if that dog accidentally pees on like one of their shoes? Like, does he just kill him? Does he just shoot him right there? Or if they're in Korea, do they just cook him up and eat the dog? Like, what happens to the dog? Or is it the opposite? Because when you see pictures of Putin, we're going to call him Pootie, little Pootie Poot, little Putin, with his dogs, he seems all happy and warm and fuzzy and cuddly. But it's like, what if one accidentally bit him? Like, not even on purpose. They were just playing and he like bit a little too hard. Again, did you just like shoot him point blank right there? And if it's Kim Jong-un, again, does he just like fry him up right there on a walk or what? Like, or does he give them a lot of chances because they both maybe don't like humans? Like, clearly they don't like humans, but do they like dogs? It seems like they like dogs. Well, I don't even know if Kim Jong-un has a dog, but I know Putin has like 5 or some shit. So, and like, what if you're the person's trainer? What if you're Putin's trainer of the dogs? Oh my God. Or someone that like helps care for the dogs. Oh my God, that would be the worst, most butt-puckering job in the world. Like, you would walk around with your cheeks clenched, your butt cheeks clenched, because if you're the one caring for the dog, like bathing the dog, cleaning up the dog poop, feeding the dog, grooming the dog, God forbid you do something wrong, or God forbid he like senses that the dog is unhappy, or like, what if the dog doesn't eat his meal and the person that like fed him gets in trouble? Then is it like guillotine time, or like, what happens, I don't know. Or again, or is it the opposite? Is he just like super nice to the people that take care of his dogs because when he's around dogs, he's actually like pretty happy and like he frolics around and he's like, hoo-hoo. Well, that's like the Pillsbury Doughboy, but you know what I mean? Like, what if he actually like secretly laughs and he like smiles and he like means it and he's like rolling around, the dogs are like licking his face, I don't know. It's weird. Like, what if, not Hannibal Lecter. Oh my God. Why did I think of Hannibal Lecter? Not Hannibal Lecter. What, Genghis Khan. What if Genghis Khan back in the day, like, had a dog? Like, how fucking scary. Like, I'd be scared shitless to be Genghis Khan's dog. That's so weird. But I think of these things, like, and then I think, like, stuff like, who are weird, like Carrot Top. Like, Carrot Top is a weird person. He's super weird. And I feel like being his dog would be weird because you'd be staring at his hair all the time and staring at those eyebrows because he's got really weird eyebrows. And if I were a dog, I'd be like, whoa, this motherfucker. Like, what did you do? And plus, Carrot Top just seems weird. Or like Michael Jackson's dog. I mean, I'm sorry, but Michael Jackson's a little odd. And like the stuff that Michael Jackson's pet had to have like witnessed. Like Michael Jackson's monkeys and his pets have really witnessed a lot. Could you imagine being like Kim Kardashian or like, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank on people, but just like any celebrity's animal or pet, like if you could talk, if I could be a fly on the wall, if I could be the, cat of some celebrity, of Julia Roberts or something, that'd be crazy. Like the shit that you would see and hear. Wow. I admit, like I've said this before, I'd be like Something About Mary, and I'd be the lady that sits out on the porch with the like listening stuff, all the like listening gadgets to be able to hear all my neighbors' conversations, because you you got to, like, forewarned is forearmed, right? You got to be able to know what is happening. You got to stay safe. You got to know if your neighbors are up to no good. And, so it's for safety, right? But yeah, to be like the animal of a celebrity, like there's some crazy, weird ass celebrities. Like it'd be frightening. It'd be weird to be, like, not Courtney, Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love, like Courtney Love's dog or cat. Weird, right? That'd be crazy. I don't know. Marilyn Manson. There's just a lot of like poor animals. But maybe they're like the best animal lovers in the whole world. I'm not saying that they're not good to their animals. I'm not saying they neglect the animals. I'm just saying like the shit that they say and do is kind of out there. And like Carrot Top just looks kind of crazy. So it's like, I'm not saying they would be bad with their pets. I'm just saying they're kind of odd in the stuff that they would see. And anyway, I mean, I'm weird. So the shit that my pets see, and hear, I'm crazy. I talk to myself all the time. The shit they have to listen to, they're like, oh my God, this weirdo, this bitch. She's at it again, talking to herself, talking into her cell phone in the middle of the night, doing her podcast. Oh, you gotta hear my dog. Hang on. Let's see if she can hear her snoring. This is the little dog snoring. Okay, yeah. Anyway, I'm sure you don't want to sit there and listen to dogs snoring. But yeah, so here I am listening to watching Project Runway, season 6. And I'm supposed to be like using this opportunity to get sleep and relax. Uh-oh. Now I can't find one of the remotes. Dang it. Come on. I have too much shit on my nightstand is part of the problem, but I try to really be organized. And then I'm realizing that I always put stuff on my bed and then one of the dogs lays on it because I do, however, have 8 freaking dogs, right? So always inevitably one of them is laying on the remote. And every time I put it in a spot that I think, oh, okay, this spot is a great spot and no one's going to lay on it and we'll all be good. And then we all have to like lay like a jigsaw puzzle. We all have to fit perfectly. Like I have to lay a certain way that dogs can like puzzle piece themselves around me. And then it gets all fucked up if I, God forbid, have to like go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Oh my God. I always regret it. I try to lay here as long as I can. And then finally I have to get up and I'm like, son of a bitch, because then I have to somehow get out of bed without moving anybody. And there's a million dogs around me. And then I have to get back into bed and like fit myself, like Jenga myself in to the same spot that I was so as not to disturb dogs. And then I'm like, why the fuck do I do that? I never used to do that. I've always been the one where I'm like, screw it. If you guys are disturbing my comfort, you don't get to stay on the bed. Like, no, my comfort comes above your comfort. Sorry, I still want you guys to be comfortable because I love you. I want you to be comfortable, but you can be comfortable on a cushy carpeted floor with blankets. I put blankets down for them. I used to put dog beds, but they just ruined them. So now they're blankets, one that I can put in the wash. But so that's comfy instead of like, making myself uncomfortable and hurting my back and contorting myself in all these weird positions just so that they're comfortable. But it's hard to get in and out of bed, but I never used to do it. And now suddenly I'm one of those. I'm one of those people that's doing it. Why? Ugh, why? So yeah, episode 6, Project Runway, ready? Doing bathing suits. They're doing bathing suits in this one.
There are a few flaws, but it was a quick put together.
When our 2 looks go down the runway,
Can you hear that?
completely at ease.
Yeah. He's completely at ease. He's totally calm when his runway look goes down.
I'm a little bit apprehensive seeing the avant-garde look because
Yeah.
I know it's not perfect. Obviously, I want the judges to focus on the concept and not so much on like everything that's off.
Wow. Avant-garde for bathing suit wear. Crazy.
Our beachwear look
Yeah.
is fabulous coming down the runway. I don't
Anyway.
think judges are going to know that.
All right. So If you're ever up in the middle of the night and you feel like binge watching something, hey, do Project Runway. I like a lot of shit. I love, love, love documentaries. Documentaries are my favorite things in the whole world. Love documentaries on pretty much anything. Fascinated by like how it's made documentaries, or like modern marvels, or like when they talk about super yachts or super houses, or super hotels and how it's made, or super airports and how they function and how it's made and how it's, like the largest airport in the world, how it's designed, how it functions, how, they manage day-to-day traffic. Same with like really large hotels, like how it was designed, and large cruise ships, how it's designed and how it was built and how they designed and manage the day-to-day, like feeding everybody and meal prepping and all that. And it's just fascinating to me. And then I like things like, survivor type stuff. And I love true crime. Of course, every woman seems to like serial killer stuff or crime stuff, but I love crime stuff and mystery stuff, but I love it all. Reality documentaries, all of that's awesome to me. I just love documentaries about pretty much anything under the sun. But I also like to binge watch stupid shit, like really corny, cheesy reality TV stuff that just is, kind of like the train wreck that you can't help but to watch, but you do anyway. I'm not saying that's what Project Runway is, but anyway, if you can't sleep, sometimes put that on. So yeah, that is what has been. That doesn't make sense. Those are the things. Man, I can't even speak English, but remember, I live in Oregon, and in Oregon, they don't give a shit if you know how to read or write English or add or subtract. So clearly, that's why I can't speak, apparently, English. That is why. Those are the things that are keeping me up. These are the things that are running through my brain, keeping me up tonight in particular, on this particular night. Those are the things running through my crazy brain. What's been running through your minds? What has been keeping you guys up? And what made you decide to listen? Like, who did you hear from me, from someone? How did you stumble upon my show? Let me know. All right. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Good night.